Scotty, beam me up.
Smash.
Get over here! It is pointless to resist.
All right.
All right.
So before the show, this is our pregame. We're not pre-gaming yet, but snippet. Kreger, I've been lying to you for about a week, and I apologize for that. But
He froze on us.
Milo coming.
What?
You froze.
I got the reaction. Did I froze?
Yeah, you totally froze, buddy.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Oh,
All right.
No, I heard you. I'll be right back.
Well, what did he say?
God damn
What did he say there?
it.
Milo's coming.
You heard me. Okay.
I'll be right back.
I know a boy, his name is Zach. He loves to fit, he loves to stack. Yes, construction is his knack. He's Zach, the Lego maniac. He builds in the window, he's off the wall. He builds them big, he builds them small. In Lego land, he'll rock and roll. He's Lego wild, out of control. Zach, he's a Lego maniac. Zach.
Legoland, King's Castle, Airport, Cosmic Fleet Voyager, sold separately from Lego Systems.
My little pony dream castle. I can play with my little ponies there. My little pony dream castle. A beautiful place to comb their pretty hair. My little pony dream castle. A lovely throne and Spike the dragon too. My little pony dream castle. Little pony, it's all for you.
I love you, my little pony.
My Little Pony Dream Castle comes with My Little Pony Majesty. Other ponies sold separately from Hasbro.
And then he said, James sent me the email that he was going to send them and said,
screenshot.
what do you think? What do you think? I was like, sounds good. Sounds professional. Like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, like I sent him like the screenshot of it after I sent it for some reason. But yeah, I sent that off to him, and about 4 hours later, my phone dings. I'm thinking it's just the regular spammy bullshit, and I look and it says Milo Aukerman. No, it's just like,
Poop, poop,
what?
poop.
Okay, open. Is it, yeah, I'm down for a Zoom chat. I'm free this Thursday or Friday or anytime Monday or Tuesday. And I go, whoa. I was like,
That quick.
I was like, I need some time to process this. So how about we do Tuesday at 9? And he goes, about an hour later, he goes, hey, yeah, that works for me. I was like, shit. I immediately got a hold of Matt. I was like, Matt, do you have time to talk? He goes, I will here in about 20 minutes. I was like, okay, hurry up.
and my phone dinged and I saw dude across my screen without unlocking my screen. Like I see dude from James.
See who it's from.
And then I see James R. Young has sent you a photo. And I'm like, he just sent me a screenshot. And he was just sending my own. I'm like, oh, sure enough, I opened it, I'm like, yeah.
Was Matt joining tonight too?
He was going to, but he ended up having to work. So it's all good. He
Yeah,
got
we'll see him
confused with his
again.
schedule. But
Can I
but
share
but
what we're
he
doing with
did-
Jimmy?
with what?
With Jimmy, can I tell him what we're doing? I didn't say anything. I didn't know if it was supposed to be all confidential.
Oh, it'll probably
Well, give
air,
me
what,
one
tomorrow?
second. Let me say this since we're recording. Matt graduated.
Oh,
Yeah.
He passed all his
yay,
classes. He has
Yep.
no more. He has no more
No more finals.
No more
No
finals.
more commas.
He just has to do. He just has to do his ceremony and everything. And he's golden.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So congratulations, Mage.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, Maddie.
But what are you doing with Jimmy?
Well, nothing. I told him that I was, joining the
Doing the
Geek Den
Zoom.
tonight,
Oh.
but I didn't say anything specific because I didn't know if it was,
You could have told him.
privileged and confidential information.
The guy up here hosting the meeting is the one we didn't want to tell. So you
Ah.
can't tell anybody.
Okay,
And
cool.
he knows now. He knows now.
He
So
knows
the world-
now. So,
Damn it.
So the
yeah.
world can know. Here comes Milo on the Geek Den. Before some other show that I'm not going to name.
It's all.
The
It's
show
written
that
all
shall
over
not be named.
But yeah,
Oh,
The
On this show,
Descendants.
we rarely drop our cameras.
yeah. But
I got
No.
mine set up.
but yeah, I told.
although occasionally things happen, right?
But,
Oh,
I
just
think it
don't
was
fall
Trevor I
asleep.
told earlier.
Is that your little webcam? Yeah.
But I think it was Trevor I told earlier that the Descendants are the one band that have never left my rotation, even when I fell off the punk bandwagon for a little bit in my late teens.
No. Yeah, no.
Like the
They've always
Descendants
been
have-
there.
Been there the entire fucking time. So
Yeah, they've been there since I was like 12 years old. Yeah.
So how do you guys want to do this so we're not like talking over each other?
Like you take
Oh,
turns
we go off
talking,
the
Not
topic.
to
Gabby.
talk a whole lot.
you just
You
start-
Sorry,
ask a lot
I do
of
this
questions
for
for
a
somebody
living.
being recorded.
I plan the stuff for a living. I just mean when he comes on, dork.
Oh shit.
You can edit
Well,
that out.
No.
We don't
No,
edit
No,
here
it's staying.
unless it's a,
Sorry, I'm the organized
Unless
one
it's
of
a
the group.
major oops.
yeah.
You're organized. We're DIY.
Who, me? Me? I'm not.
Us. I said we, Trev.
Oh.
You're included too.
Yeah, definitely DIY.
Nothing
Well,
professional.
when-
Yeah, just look at the
when
background
you-
differences. You could tell who's organized and who like lives in chaos.
When you have to edit things out because you're slurring too much near the end of the show, yeah. DIY, baby.
DIY.
Fine.
Oh, we don't edit stuff out. We're just like, man, I think we're done.
Yeah, man. I think it's time to
I
cut
don't know
to
what
a
to talk
break.
about anymore.
Yeah.
Then like if we cut to a break or if we end the show, that's when all the good shit comes out.
Yeah.
And we get on a whole other conversation. And it's like, damn, if we weren't the Geek Den, this would be a fantastic podcast interview. But it's like that's not stuff we talk about on the show. So it's like,
So,
but-
only piece of advice maybe with Milo is if we are gonna do any sort of like little break or anything, just keep it like
Yeah.
real
super
quick.
short or whatever. Just because
Yeah, we'll just do it
He's a
simply
busy
for
dude.
break points for the commercials. Then
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just break and get right back into it.
I got plenty of drink right here.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
do I.
Yeah, same here. Speaking of that, though, I'm gonna just quickly pop out my front door for a quick cigarette.
You
But
good?
I-
Why don't
I will
we
be
cut
back
this and we'll
within
take a
6 minutes.
break before the man comes.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. You want to go ahead
Milo.
and end this?
Jurassic Park. The dinosaurs are on a rampage, and only the JP team is tough enough to stop them. Grant fires his net launcher. Ellie launches her grappling hook. Muldoon fires a tranquilizer, each sold separately. It's happening, but only at Jurassic Park.
Extreme Ghostbusters! Armed with the ultimate goose-busting gear. Extreme Kylie, Eduardo, and Roland face Extreme Ghost with awesome attack power. You power up light and sound to bring them down. Ecto 1 screams on scene with blazing lights and missile fire. And when Egon sets the trap, you send him back. Extreme Ghostbusters vehicles and figures each sold separately, batteries not included.
How the Descendants came about.
Well, the band started in '78. I wasn't an original member because the original members were Bill and Frank and Tony. And then I saw them, well, no, I saw them practice in like 1980 because Bill, the drummer, he had come to school with a single of Ride the Wild, and I bought it from him. And then they became one of my favorite bands at the time. And so then I want to go to see them practice, and I went to go to the church to watch them practice. And shortly after that, they decided they needed a singer, even though they were a three-piece and each of them sung, but they thought, well, let's get someone in there who doesn't have to play an instrument. That way they can focus on singing. And that was how the four-piece started out. So this was that I joined in 1980. So I'm pseudo original. I'm not original, but I guess you'd say that I'm the original vocalist, but they were a power trio before me, basically.
Yeah.
Original front man.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
now I have to correct that because actually there was about a year where they had a female singer before me. So in fact, I was not even the original. So yeah, everything I'm saying is a lie. So yeah.
But no, it's a man. You said '78. Bands.
Yeah.
That's 10 years before I was born.
I was gonna say, James, isn't that like minus like how many years?
Yeah.
78. It's still minus years for me, but it's only one minus year for me.
Well,
Right.
it was such a great time to be alive, I gotta say.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
we were in LA, and all the LA punk was just kind of exploding all around us. And so it was just a great, I just have great memories about going out to Hollywood to see shows, with all these bands, and so many different kinds of bands. There was kind of like the British punks, and there was the Hollywood punks, and then there was the hardcore punks, and we all kind of, every kind of facet of punk was represented. Some of my favorite bands for that period, like the Minutemen and X and Black Flag and the Germs, it was all just happening. So I was loving it.
Nice, a nice blend of flavors.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That sounds a lot like what I grew up listening. Not so much just punk, but like punk, metal, hardcore, all that stuff. Like was around my scene growing up here in Central PA. Like every band played a different style, and we all played the same bill.
Yeah.
And everybody got along, and it was fun. And like if there was fights, we'd all break them up, get rid of those people. They're not welcome here. So
Yeah, there's room for everybody. I mean, especially in punk for me, that's what it's all about. It's all about like welcoming every corner of weirdness that's out there ought to be welcomed in the punk. And we sure had that in LA. We had just so many different kinds of takes on what punk could be, which is why when I think about punk, I don't think, oh, it's a particular kind of perspective or political movement or look or even style of music. It's just, it encompasses everything. The main thing about punk is do it yourself and embrace the weirdness. That's all it is to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Punk to me has always been more of an attitude instead of a genre of music anyway.
Yeah.
Like I don't like breaking music down into genres, because if I like it, it's just music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But like the punk rock ethos is really the most positive outlook on life that I've ever seen, and it helps me mentally. I know it helps these guys.
Yeah.
Because they've been there for me. You know what I mean? I met these guys in a Facebook group, and they're some of my best friends on the planet now because they've helped me mentally, just because of the punk rock attitude. And when somebody's down, you pick them up.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Just like Trevor's shirt.
Yeah.
What does the shirt say? I can't see
Rules of the pit.
Rules of the pit. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've always said the rules of life are the rules of the pit. When somebody's down, you pick them back up, and you don't let them. You don't let them
Yeah.
play there.
Yeah.
Got it.
And like your music it's done that for Craig. It's done that for me. Like I'm
Absolutely.
the one has been the song to like lift me up in my downtimes. I don't know why. It's not really, but like it's just every time I needed some kind of pick me up from music, I would just turn that song on, and instantly I'd be like, okay, I can go about my day. And so, thank you for that.
No, well, you can thank Carl because he wrote it. But yeah, he was writing it about about I think which the universal notion of like you're the person who's your friend. It happens to also be someone that you've kind of fallen for. You're falling in love with them, and you're supposed to be their friend, but you also have feelings for them, and so it's a pretty
Yep. Yeah, it's good, definitely good for that scenario too. Like you want to sneak a little clue to a possible SO.
Yeah.
Song for them, maybe they'll get the idea. If not,
Yeah.
I think I think there's a lot of Descendants songs that did that for me. You know what I mean? Like there's such a wide variety. Like Cameo, every time I lost a friend, that's what I turned to. And songs like This Place Sucks, trying to get through school. It was like an anthem for me.
Yep.
So
We were just kind of writing about things that were happening to us and just reacting to them. And the one kind of through line to everything that we've done is just like we can only write about things that we've experienced. It's weird because Bill always talked about how we have such a limited imagination because a lot of bands, they can just write about whatever. It's not like it had to happen to them. They can conjure up some kind of fictitious scenario that makes sense and it seems to work. But for some reason, all we can ever do is kind of reflect upon things that have happened to us in reality, and then we're gonna write a song about that. Which that's, I mean, I guess you could say that's what gives the songs their kind of their truism, I guess, is that they're all true. There's nothing fake about any of our music. But the problem is as you get older, like I can't write songs about how my baby left me because I'm happily married. So I'm kind of stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't write.
You can write songs about how the dishwasher wasn't filled right.
Or you ran out of coffee.
Domestic frustrations. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. There's the name of the next.
Where's my remote
Descendants
control? That's a game I'm always playing. But,
yeah.
Gabby, is there anything you wanted to ask or say?
I wanted to ask that.
Gabby's our big sister, by the way.
Yeah, I was 5, unlike these babies, when you joined the band. So, I was there. I was in the scene.
Yeah, you were in the scene.
I wanted to ask you something a little bit serious about Spazzinate and the word and the backlash that your band received. What your initial reaction to it was, how you came together to discuss, what was being said about it in a time where, we're trying to be as politically correct as possible.
Yeah.
Where I know that was nowhere near the intention behind the name of the album.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, through the years, I mean, because we've been a band so long, you can think back to times in our lives where we would say stuff, and at the time it was kind of like maybe edgy, but like 20 years later, that's not edgy anymore. That's like offensive. And this is a situation, this isn't a situation of time, but more of a situation of culture, because I think, I think in this country, spaz isn't so bad, but in England it is. Yeah, in England it was very bad, or maybe it's just in Europe in general. But at any rate, when it definitely came out, it hit us kind of by surprise out of left field, where all of a sudden we were hearing from people in Britain about dude, you can't say that. And I was like, oh shit. And so, yeah, it turns out that they use that word to describe a medical condition, you know, I guess it would be cerebral palsy, I guess is the thing. And we were all unaware. So I actually had someone contact me about it who had a daughter who had cerebral palsy, and he said, you know, I'm coming to this Blackpool show that you're playing, and I'd like to meet you. And I said, yeah, okay, we'll meet, and we can just discuss the kind of what it is, the different cultures of the whole thing. And you know, I think the thing is I think it's pretty clear, and I think it was clear to him that we didn't have a bad intention, but just that we were unaware of how it would be, that word had been co-opted. Because I mean, in this country, I talk about spazzing out all the time. You know, I grew up as a geek, I grew up as a nerd, and then those are just kind of synonymous with spaz. So geek equals word equals spaz.
I was so excited for that album, and you know, reading all these reports, boycott Descendents, you know, for using this word. That was the first time I heard, you know, or I read that was, you know, wrong use of that word because it was, you know, referred to as a medical condition. I hadn't heard of that before.
Yeah. So I think the thing is
because you're acting, you know, wild. Or
I was right now years old when I found that.
I mean, so we were trying to come up with a name for the record, and the way that kind of record got named is that we had the image. Initially, we had this image of a flask, of an Erlenmeyer flask, and we thought, cool, let's make the record be that image, and then we'll name the record.
Yeah.
And then so Bill and I just tossed around so many different ideas about what could we name it, because it's, you know, we want to convey this notion of, this guy's in the lab and he's trying to kind of synthesize this new chemical that's even better than caffeine, and what would that chemical be called? And so I think we came up with hypercaffeum, and then we didn't know what the other half of it was. And Carl said, spazinate. We go, yeah, hypercaffeum, spazinate. It's cool. Yeah, we're done. And then, but then, you know, I think, I guess, I mean, the learning for us is that unfortunately there's some vetting that has to happen for titles of records, I guess. You know, we should have vetted the title a little better. I think I'll take that as a learning experience, where I can say, let's name the record this. Okay, well, let's just make sure that's not offensive to some corner of the universe, you know, some corner of the world, because it obviously was. And so we had to kind of, you know, at least deal with the repercussions of that. We never were going to change the record name, you know, at that point. And we just thought, we'll take our lumps, you know, and move on. You know, it is. And I guess the other learning experience for me is that we are a band of trying to kind of branch out and experience the world and experience other cultures. We've gone to all over the globe, and so as part of that, experiencing these other areas of the globe is being aware of what you know, people's sensitivities are there, you know, and just kind of
a lot of places you go, they'll tell you before you land on the plane or whatever that listen, now you can't do this, and this.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, straighten up. You know.
Yeah.
I find it a little funny that the UK has an issue with that word, yet they use "see you next Tuesday" like it's going out of fucking style.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's all context. Like,
yeah, and then specifically related to how a word gets co-opted, the word fag, and where you're smoking it over there. So
yeah,
I mean, you know, it's
We have
that.
plenty of British friends, so we know all about that.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a kind of maybe that's an extreme example, because that's a word that just completely means something way different. You know? But I had to point that out to the guy too, because I just like, you know, this is just how language works. Certain words just mean completely different things in different cultures. And oh well, I mean, that's just it's, you know, mea culpa, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, we had a good chat, and I met his daughter, and it was, I think we just kind of came to a kind of a good place of just understanding. So, moved on
Yeah.
from that. But
You opened up
Yeah.
the conversation. You allowed the conversation to happen, and I think that's just shows incredible growth and respect.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
well, I mean, we, like I said, we have had our, we've had in the past our kind of moments of awareness where we've had to say, yeah, that was written, in our case, that was written, and some songs were written 40 years ago. And then, geez, the language evolves. And so language did evolve. And what was once an edgy thing to say is now just a verboten thing to say. And, that's fine. I'm not gonna shake my fist at the way that language evolves, because that's the way it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's true.
Say that about some Tarantino movies. Well, those didn't age very well, did they?
No, and I was talking. I was talking to my daughter yesterday. I was talking to her about NWA, and like I just loved some of that really just like in your face language. And I'm singing it to her, and she's like, "Dad, shut the fuck up." Okay, so I had to kind of take a step back and go, you know what? She's right. No, it may feel good to say it, and you're saying it in the persona of one of the guys in MWA, where you're just like, fuck the police.
Right.
It's like, and then you just stop right there and don't go any further.
I was in my car the other day singing along to, or rapping along to West Side Connection, and then the N word comes up, every other word, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm alone, and I'm like, no, you got to change this. So I just changed that word to brother, so that, because no, it just does not happen like that anymore.
Yeah, you do it, so yeah.
I have trouble with, like, I love that old gangster rap, but like that word, like I just have so much trouble with that word.
Yeah,
it's derogatory in any sense when you think about it. You know what
it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it gives me chills.
I'm so curious, from your point of view, center stage, what are some of the things that really catch your eye from the audience? What do you like to see? What do you hate to see?
Well, I get tunnel vision to the point where I don't like to see people beating each other up, obviously, but it's hard to pick that stuff out, because I'm usually staring at the first few rows. I mean, if there was a fight that broke out in the first few rows, I'm going to be like, whoa, what's going on? But anything beyond that, there could be shit happening that I don't know anything about. And so then I feel bad about that. Sometimes I know some people will stop the show, like, okay, no more fighting, we're gonna stop the show. But for us, that ends up not happening, because we're just so pedal to the metal too. I mean, we're just like on from one song to the next. If there was any time in between songs, maybe I'd have the opportunity to say, whoa, do a little crowd control, but I can't do it because we're just on to the next song. And like I said, with my tunnel vision, so I don't really get a chance to see so much of that. What I like to see is people singing back the lyrics. I mean, that's great. And I see people singing it back, and sometimes I hand them the mic, and that's fun too, to have them singing as well.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to get back to that. I mean, during COVID, you didn't want to do that so much.
Right.
But I mean, I think at the last set of shows I did, which were in Denver, I felt brave enough to hand the mic out. Okay, go ahead, soil my mic. I'll deal with it.
Whatever happens, happens.
I'll spend the next 7 days in isolation.
Whatever you to me, and I'll just kind of deal. But yeah, no, there was a period when we played with it last year when we played with Rise Against. I didn't even, at that point you just didn't go out. You didn't even get down in the pit, because it was a little too, it's
still a little dicey.
Yeah.
amazed me. The last time I saw you guys play was pre-pandemic at the Warfield in San Francisco. And
Right.
it's one of my favorite venues. And the energy was so intense. It just felt like everybody next to you was your best friend.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful. It was such a wonderful show, and
Yeah.
such high energy, such good spirits from everybody. And I can't thank you and your band enough for
Yeah.
sharing all that with us.
That's why we keep doing it. You think about, you know, okay, we want to make music, we want to make our records or whatever, but the live experience is so transcendent. It's so much what keeps us going. It's like, okay, well, you're willing to put up with, you know, whatever bullshit you got to put up with.
Yeah.
So you can get back on stage. I mean, what do? We put up with 2 years of complete misery, and we were just champing at the bit just to have that moment back on stage where we could look at each other and go, yeah, this is what it's all about. It's all about the four of us communing with each other, but also communing with the audience and feeding off of that too. So much different than when it used to be. I mean, back in the 80s, to me, there was just some shift for me, and I think it was true for the rest of the band, where we stopped just playing for each other. Obviously, that it was all about playing for each other from the get-go. But at the point you could look out in the audience and go, oh, there's not just 2 people out there. Now there's 200 people out there, and they all came to see us. And it was such a humbling and kind of exciting experience that then you can make it a party to include everybody. And that was, to me, a big shift in how I thought about what this band could be for me. You know, prior to that, I was like, this band's great. I get my jollies and stuff. But once you start including the audience in that equation, it really makes it kind of a factor of 10 more gratifying, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The camaraderie and energy of a Descendants show is like unrivaled, in all honesty. There's nothing like it.
That's great. I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't do a lot of chanting and stuff. We don't do a lot of like crowd, like, hey, everybody chant.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that people can still feel that camaraderie without the football chanting, because we don't really do so much of that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, even without that, the fact that you can put on a show like that and have so much energy it's amazing, because you know, you're like the Ramones, you can just come out and do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, it's just like we have a certain energy that we want to put out, and then I've just been incredibly grateful that when we put that energy out, it just doesn't go out into the ether. It goes out and then it gets, you know, rebounded back, and that's just the most. I mean, that's more than any, you know. We make X number of dollars per show, but that makes so much. It means so much more to me that's our payback. Our payback is to feel that energy come back to us, and so it's what it's all about. And it's hard to describe it in words too, because it's so kind of it's such a communal kind of almost religious experience. And you know, I'm not a religious guy, but that this is my religion, I guess, is what it comes down to. Yeah.
My religion, that's another one of my favorite.
I get
it.
So Milo, I got a question for you. I didn't ask you this on Rules of the Pit, but I feel this is a pretty good question, and I'd like to share with Geek Den. It's not very geeky, but when it goes to when it came down to Bill having the his surgeries and this and that, how did you feel about that? Like, what were you going through while all that was happening?
I was kind of going through, I guess, a bit of a regret and maybe a sense of guilt, because he and I did lose contact. I got involved, you know, in my science career, and he got involved producing bands, and I did lose touch with him, not because of any kind of rancor or anything, just because his relationship and mine is one of complete open kind of, you do your thing, I'll do mine. And you know, we're both each other's cheerleaders and have been since we've met, really. And so he was cheerleading me in my science career, and I was cheerleading him with all. But I guess what I had failed to see is that he was going through a rough period, and I was kind of out of the loop for that. So I do feel bad about that. When I finally learned about it, I came out and visited and saw that, yeah, he was having some struggles, and it wasn't exactly clear what was going to help him out until they found this brain tumor. Once they found the brain tumor, it was like, oh, well, okay, that explains a lot of how he was kind of being as a person. You know, he was all checked out. He was you know, he'd gotten up to like 400 pounds or whatever, and he had just you know, I think his head was a fog, literally a fog, and so they removed the tumor, and the day after they removed the tumor, or you know, within a few days after they removed the tumor, he called me in this sense of euphoria, just like, you know, I feel like the veil has been lifted, and I can live again. And so that gets at how things had gotten and how things could be for him. It was like that sense of euphoria infected the rest of the band, and we just said, well, okay, this is it. There's no turning back now. We've got to play some shows. We hadn't played shows in many years at that point, and got to play some shows and eventually make a record and all that. It was really kind of this kind of game-changing moment for me, where it kind of crystallized for me how important it was that he and I never let that happen again, where we had just kind of, you know, drifted apart a little bit. And again, not out of any kind of bad blood of any kind, but just like, you know, different lives. We're operating on different you know, things basically. But that was that whole period. I'll just always remember that as a period where, you know, I rediscovered my love for him and my love for the band and my love for music and all that stuff. And you know, I haven't looked back ever since. You know, it's been all good ever since.
I'm glad you did.
Hell yeah. I was getting teary there while you're talking about that. I'm like, oh yeah, no, we are definitely happy that you guys got back together. I do understand that kind of relationship with one of your best friends. You know, one of my best friends, I think I even missed texting him on his birthday this year. Like, we see each other maybe once a year if we're lucky.
Yeah.
And
still be a really deep relationship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The minute we talk, not one of us are like, oh, you didn't call me or you didn't call me. It was like, hey man, how you doing, man? I fucking missed you. Give me a hug. Like, oh, you know,
it's because those kind of relationships where there's no kind of expectations. There's no hard feelings, because it's almost unspoken. The bond is unspoken, and you just know that it's there. So if you know that it's there, there's no reason to kind of you know, have to kind of do all the kind of, you know, stuff. The posture, you know, just it's there, and you know it's there. So
you pick up where you left off, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I want to ask: do you have any one favorite song? If you can't narrow it down to just one, maybe like 4 or 5 favorite songs that you like to perform?
Well, I mean, I think I like to play some of the songs off of Milo Goes to College, because you know, those are good. I like to play those because I mean, they define our band as kind of, they kind of crystallize what we are in terms of just aggressive melodic. So, you know, we'll always play Hope, and we'll always play Bikeage and those kind of songs. But I also like playing some of the songs off of Hypercaphium that I think brought us to a different level of like aggression, really. I mean, there's songs where we put them out there as like, see, we are still like a really aggressive, in your face band, like Victim of Me, and these kind of songs where, you know, it's like we want to get real and say, this is the kind of music that we can still do. Technically, it's still in our wheelhouse, and it's still enjoyable for us to do. And that's why and for me to sing Victim of Me too is just like, you know, so I like things like Victim of Me is like a newer version of what we can do. And then I like, you know, songs off of Milo Goes to College as like classic or whatever. And then, I mean, we've been playing songs off of Ninth and Walnut, like Nightage. And I've been really like to play Nightage and those kind of songs, because it's Nightage is kind of a really unusual one. Not only does it remind me of early Descendents, but it also is a song that I never got a chance to sing back when I first joined the band, because they'd already removed that song from the set list when I joined. And so to have the opportunity to sing it now, you know, and on the Ninth and Walnut record, to me, it was just like, yes, you know, it was like it was like the missing song that I never got to do back then. So it has a real special place for that reason too. So maybe that covers a lot of it. Yeah.
You find that the crowds they accept, like they welcome the newer material, or do they just want the classics?
I think that they, you know, I don't know how to judge it, but I think that you see people out there, you know, in the slam pit for Hypercathium songs, you know. I think that there's definitely some songs where it's hard to judge. You can play a song and they're, you know, hey, there's no one slamming or whatever, but you can also tell that they're listening too. And maybe they're like, I want to listen because I want to get the full gist of this. And I'm not going to slam, I'm going to do that instead, you know? So, yeah, I feel like there are songs where we play them and if we know that they're just, that they're not hitting the crowd, and maybe they're too long or they're too weird. So we were playing All Logistics for a long time, and it's a fun song to do. But we started to kind of play it and realize we were the only people that were like laughing at it. Yeah, and we're like, this is great. Yeah, and you look out and everyone's just like, what? You know, okay, so maybe we don't play All Logistics anymore. I think everyone was on board with that. Plus, you know, you have only so many minutes in a set that you can fit stuff in, and so you're going to pull stuff out. You start pulling out stuff that you kind of go, yeah, that's of limited appeal for the general audience, you know, or something like that. You know?
Yeah.
Well, good thing about punk rock, like most songs are only like a minute and a half, 2 minutes long. Right?
Yeah. Good use of that. I mean, we still play like, you know, I don't know, probably 40 songs a set, but because they're so short, it's still just an hour long.
Right.
Honestly, my band, we do punk rock covers. We'll play an entire night set, 3 hours, 70 songs.
That's amazing.
Right? Like they're punk rock songs.
It's just a lot of
punk rock song out there.
a lot of chords and a lot of words to kind of keep packed in your brain.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how. I mean, I used to do that back in the day, like me and my acoustic. But when you're playing an acoustic guitar, you learn so many songs that they just stick in your brain, and you just play them and sing them. And
yeah,
you can make a whole set list out of what's in your head. But
well, good thing is they're all like fucking hits. So
yeah,
these are all songs that have been drilled into our heads as we grew up.
Yeah.
Now we just get to play them twice as fucking fast. So, you know, it's very Me First-ish kind of, you know, so, and some are Me First songs, whatever. But, you know, so yeah, they're all just like bang, bang,
yeah,
bang.
Yeah,
next,
I know. There are certain songs like that for me where if anyone at the end of the set were to say, hey, let's do Black Flag, Jealous Again, I'd be like, okay, give me the bass.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to practice, you just know it, and you just kind of it's going to sound it's going to sound sloppy, but
Yeah.
you'll hit all the chords. You'll hit all
But
the
you're
different-
singing, you're playing it.
And people who are normally watching you, yes, there's going to be those who have musical training or some sort of musical background, but a lot of them are just there audioly,
Yeah.
like they're just there. They hear music, and they're not picking up on those little fuck ups here and there.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of music. Like
once they
don't
recognize,
care.
they can recognize the song and go, oh, they're doing it. They're doing Black Flag or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're just they're in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, their brain just fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
It's like Blitzkrieg Bop. Every band plays it. At some
Yeah.
point in their career.
Yeah.
Never played.
Because everybody knows that song. So
That's a staple.
Yeah.
exactly. My favorite thing about playing covers is like, especially with like classics, which have misheard lyrics a lot. Trevor's band purposely sings the misheard lyrics.
Oh,
Fuck yeah.
That's
I didn't
that's what
know
makes
that,
them so
Trevor.
wonderful.
Oh, come on, man.
And why wouldn't you? Why would you not? You're in a punk rock band playing cover songs of classics.
So if you-
I've got 30 years of singing and practicing those wrong fucking lyrics. So, like,
so
can't
if
go
you
wrong.
Beat on the Brat. So for Beat on the Brat, is it what can you do with the brat like that? Always on your back, or is it they're no fun? Brat like that, always on your back, or with a brat like that, oh, they're no fun. That's
Wow,
always
that
on
one
your
I don't.
back.
I'm gonna have to listen to that one again.
On your back.
Is it?
okay.
Yeah.
My opinion. my non
That's one I never
my
really
non-professional
took
opinion.
Wow, you got me thinking there. Oh, but so let's touch on your science career a little bit. You're a molecular biologist or a biochemist, according to your wiki page.
Yep.
So okay,
Yeah, I mean, I
wasn't
think
sure if they're the
there's,
same thing.
there's
or not.
overlap between those two fields.
Okay.
There may have been some point where I did more biochem, and there may have been some point where I did more molecular biology. Yeah. So,
Arabidopsis.
yeah. So
Mhm.
that's a plant. So I guess plant molecular biology / plant genetics is a kind of a way to kind of couch it all. Yeah. So
he's been secretly learning how to grow the best weed. He just doesn't want to come out and say it. He's keeping it.
well, I mean, I could definitely join one of those companies and fit right in, like
Oh.
talking about strains and the Kush gene or whatever, whatever it's going to be.
How much of your time do you spend in that field?
You mean now?
Yes,
Zero.
really.
When I left my job, I'm actually surprised, but I don't feel like this urge to kind of
Go
keep
back.
tabs on. I mean, occasionally I'll go to the literature sites and just I'll look at a few specific subjects and go, hey, have they made some new advances in this one area? And then I'll just kind of glance at some papers, but none of that has been any more than none of it has resulted in me going, oh, I got to get back into it, or I need to go do that research. It's kind of like, I felt like I had my heyday for doing that, and that's in my past. I can't even envision how I would kind of insert myself back into that field right now. So yeah, but I mean, it's still
having too much fun.
What's that?
Yeah.
You're having too much fun.
Yeah, I'm having fun, and the thing is, the reason why I got into science is that part of the reason why I got into science is that it was a chance to be creative with science. I mean, to take scientific experimentation and inject a creative outlook on it, and that was what really interested me about it to begin with. And molecular biology gives you the opportunity to do that in a certain sense, because you are working with genes, and genes do certain things to organisms. And to me, it all made sense that became a creative thing to do. but then when I with music, you can channel all that same creative urges into writing music. And so that's why when I left science behind, it was just like, well, all those creative marbles I had to apply to science, I'll just apply those to
Right.
music, which I've been doing, you know. So
I've always had the same feeling about science. I love the experimentation.
yeah.
Like, just the idea of being able to conduct experiments has always fascinated me, and I love going to like science museums and watching them conduct experiments and stuff like that.
Yeah. And the thing is that if you conduct an experiment and you get a certain result, and whether that result confirms your hypothesis or whether that result disconfirms your hypothesis, you can get excited about it. I mean, you know, there's a certain sense of, you know, there's the eureka moment, if they want to call it eureka, you know, I've discovered this or whatever. And that to me was another I got addicted to that kind of a rush of like, you know, oh, I just found that this new, it could be this little minutia of a project where I just found out this one kind of factoid that came out of the work, but that would be enough of a rush to kind of keep you moving forward. Like, yeah, this is great, I love this. And it's the same kind of rush as writing a song. I mean, you write a song and you kind of feel like, you know, you've gotten something off your chest, you've made something that sounds good to your ear, and it makes you excited and happy to sing it or to play it. And it's the same general feeling of discovery. And so that's kind of, so you got the creative aspect of it and you got the discovery aspect of it. Those go hand in hand. And both of those things to me were like very parallel between these two things, which seemingly are disparate and yet are not.
Right. Yeah. Science is just, I had a hard time in school just because I've never been diagnosed, but like, I'm pretty sure I have like ADHD or something like that to like keep me from enjoying learning like a lot of people, like some people do. So like, I didn't really do so well in science class, but like when it came to the experiments, I aced it.
Yeah,
Not a problem.
that sounds about
part's
right.
Fun.
That sounds right.
That's fun.
You know, I think about ADHD is that my son has ADHD, and it's all about the thrill of learning, and
Right.
you know how best you do that. Even when I was working in a company, and they you know, they want you to do all these things, and you know, and the thing is I was kind of like, yeah, but I want to be in the lab and I want to make the next big discovery. And it was always about that next big discovery. So I probably have some ADHD as well, because I kind of feel like that's kind of the thing, is that you're always looking for that thrill, and however you can get it. But science is full of them, but the everyday mundane nuts and bolts of science, you don't get that. And that's probably where I failed most in my science career, because I was that way. I was like, the mundanity of setting up or just, you know, the day-to-day kind of setting up the experiment. You just want to get to the experiment. You want to get the result of the experiment, and then you want to, you know, interpret the experiment. And so, yeah, I can see where you're coming from in that. It's just like,
yeah, like in my freshman. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to give another example. My son also has ADHD, and, you know, sitting and listening to lectures and reading science books was just such a struggle. But when it came down, when it was time to build his own Rube Goldberg machine, that boy was on it, and he aced it, and he did so well. So it was just that tactical learning that that worked so well for him.
Yep.
And it kind of made me think, as you were talking there, Milo, about the mundaneness of setting up the experiment and this and that. And I was like, I was taking the similarities to gigging and playing. So you've got the fucking mundaneness of, oh, I gotta go, we gotta move this shit, we gotta set it up, we gotta do this and that, and then you get to do your experiment. Your experiment's your show.
Yeah.
How's this experiment going to go? Are we going to get it right? Are we going to use a proper formula? This and that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you sit back and look at the results after. How'd that show go? And you think
Yeah.
about it and like, did the crowd really like it? You know,
Yeah.
As you were explaining that whole thing, I'm like just picturing the gig mentality, and I'm like, fuck, that's science right there.
Yeah. No, and I'm blessed to be in a band with other people who don't have ADHD and are more willing to kind of delve into the kind of detailed preparation to make.
Are you sure Bill? Are you sure Bill does not? I have talked to Bill. Are you sure Bill doesn't? That dude is like.
Maybe he does. Maybe he's channeled. Maybe he's channeled his ADHD, because I mean, it all depends on what. It just depends on what excites you and what you're willing to focus on. Yeah. It's all about focus. And if you're only gonna focus on the things that really get your blood pulse going, and just so luckily, for him, it's that kind of stuff. It's the production and the setup, and getting his drums to sound just right and all that. That's what trips his trigger. So it's good that we can for me it's like I couldn't care less about any of that, right? I'm the singer, so I just show up and sing.
No, when I had the one chance to chat with Bill, super sweet human, and just he was alive. He was so fucking alive. He was just like,
I saw the interview, and I gotta say, he was.
Oh, dude.
When you say
great,
when he gets excited about something, like that man is excited. Like, he was very happy to be there.
Such a
beautiful soul, that guy.
A great interview for sure.
Oh, yeah. But man, why don't we go ahead and cut to a quick 5-minute break?
Oh,
and then
okay.
Go ahead and come back.
Quick 5-minute break.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Those lonely pound puppies really need to be rescued. Pound puppy, I'm so glad to find you. Put that lonely puppy down behind you. You need a name. I'll call you Freckles.
Lots of pound puppies need your love.
Oscar, meet Petey.
And when they're this lonely and this lovable, one more is always welcome.
Come sharing all our cuddling, caring puppy love.
Pound puppies. Each sold separately. From Tonka.
Now, darling, you have fun with your little friends.
We're gonna have us a good time today. Truly bubbles gonna blow us away. Ooh, what bubblicious stuff to you. Now it's softer and a whole lot smoother. Blow it bigger, chew it longer. The flavor keeps coming on stronger. Satisfy your ultimate wishes. Truly bubblicious.
We record?
Good.
So, yep. Right now, I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. Craig's wearing a Star Wars shirt. May the 4th be with you.
Oh, nice.
Milo, maybe not Star Wars specific, but like, do you have a favorite movie franchise or just a favorite movie in general?
Well, I did see Star Wars like 3-4 times when it first came out. It was one, that was the thing. It came out and people would see it. You'd wait in these long lines, and then you'd go back the next day and see it again and again. I must have seen it 3-4 times. So I was definitely had my brief foray into sci-fi movies through Star Wars and other movies like that. I used to go to the conventions, the sci-fi cons with my friend. And that was, so I had a brief period of being that guy. And then I discovered punk rock after that. So it's kind of like, okay. But I don't know what my genre in movies is right now, except that one of my favorite movies of the many, many years past is probably Goodfellas.
Oh yeah.
I like the mafia movies,
Yeah.
So, but I I don't have a real genre because I'll pretty much watch anything. I'll watch really depressing dramas, and I'll watch, slapstick comedies too. So I'm pretty much up for anything. Yeah.
Ditto. Like my
Just
favorite.
watch.
Go
I
ahead.
just
Trip.
watch whatever the wife puts on.
Yeah.
Usually I'll like it too. So
It depends on the subject matter for me usually, but if the story's good enough and hooks me, then yeah, I'll sit and watch whatever. But
Yeah.
a lot of the times like Craig here, I'm a horror junkie, or I like a good stupid comedy movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of the past, one of my favorite foreign movies of the past several years is this German movie called Lives of Others, which covers the period after when East Germany, the wall came down. It was a period right before that, and it just talks about the Stasi, which was the Secret Service, and how they kind of how corrupt they were, and it's just, but it was done in a kind of dramatic way, and it really had a deep, profound effect on me because this one guy was a Stasi guy, but he so clearly had too much humanity to be a Stasi guy, and he was he kind of was he's eavesdropping on this one couple and starts to feel bad for them, and yeah, basically the movie's about him discovering his humanity through that period. So yeah, I recommended it. I recommend it to you. Lives of Others.
Lives of Others. I have to remember.
Next movie night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have our little movie night. We'll have to put that on the list.
This group has a movie night every once in a while, and
nice.
my rom-coms get vetoed every single time.
Yeah.
one of these nights we got to watch Filmage.
Filmage.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite punk rock documentaries, hands down. Like, and I'm not just saying that, Milo, to blow smoke up your ass. Like,
No, I honestly have to say the same.
Yeah, it really hit me, that documentary. I know a lot of it talks about Bill, but the roundabout thing is it's the Descendants. And
yeah, I mean, Bill pretty much, the tone of the movie is set by Bill because he's so fucking funny, but he has such depth as a person, and so he feels things so deeply that you get both ends of that spectrum from him. It's just like, how much of a cartoon character he is, but how much of a real, like, person who's been all through all the pain, and that all kind of obviously affects his music. And so, yeah, I mean, that documentary, I watch it just for Bill, basically. Well, him and Tony. Tony got some great lines in there too. So yeah.
Absolutely. The upcoming Blasting Room documentary with Aaron Pendergast. I'm assuming you guys are obviously involved somewhat in it. I know Bill will, obviously. Anything you can tell us about that, or?
They haven't reached out to me to do any interviews. I don't think I'm gonna be playing, doing any interviews for it, as far as I understand. But I mean, I think there's so many people that you can, interview for that and make it be, flesh it out, basically. So I think it's gonna be good. I mean, they've just had so many great bands come through there.
They have.
And some of those, early recordings they did, just really, to me, like the early Hagfish stuff they did, Shades Apart, just some of those, when I rejoined the band in '96 and heard what they were doing at that time, I thought, oh man, I'm going to be involved with the studio that's put out like three of my favorite records of the year: Pollen, Hagfish, Shades Apart, Alligator Gun. I mean, they just had so many great out of there. So that was, yeah. I mean, they, obviously they've gone on to be Rise Against's, go-to studio as well. So it's
Rise Against, Teenage Bottle Rocket.
Yeah, Teenage Bottle Rocket. That late
Obviously,
Teenage
only
Bottle,
crime.
that's really good. Yeah.
Their latest album's really good too.
Yeah.
Gab, anything else you want to ask?
Well, I'm curious about the upcoming tour.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we are spending the first half of the year kind of twiddling our thumbs. We didn't get it together, and because of COVID, you're kind of like, well, when can we pull the trigger on these shows? And I think we thought, well, we're gonna backfill. So the second half of the year is really packed, and the second half of the year we spend throughout the States. We tend to go out for like 4 or 5 shows and then go home for a couple weeks, and then we'll go back out. So I think starting in August, we start to hit the US pretty hard. Prior to that, we are going to Europe twice. So we're going to be in the UK in June, and we're going to be on the mainland of Europe in August. So I would call it like the beginnings of more of a steamrolling kind of thing. And probably next year we can tour more throughout the whole year and have it be, hit more places. But we don't want to wear out our welcome either. It's like, I think if we
I don't think that's possible.
No.
Yeah,
talk to our booking agent then, because
Come to Canada again, Milo. You guys are never
Yeah.
wearing out your welcome.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that no matter how much we tour here, there's so many other places that we can go.
I'm one of the lucky ones. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's easier. And I think I take that for granted, because there are so many fans that just can't get to a show.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's hard on the band as well.
Yeah, and I think we're as I said, the second half of the year we're going to be hitting the US hard. But then I look at the dates, and I gotta go, well, but we're still not going to whatever, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we're still not going to, I don't think, maybe we're going to Atlanta. But there's so many, no matter how many places you hit, you can probably spend the next year hitting all the other, what they call secondary markets or whatever, so we'll be busy for a while. And the main issue will be at what point, as I mentioned, our booking agent, at what point does our booking agent say, hey, maybe you guys should put a new record out, because you can tour for a while, and then you kind of go, well, now you're into the next like record cycle, put something else out new, because then people want to come and see you play the new songs. Hopefully that's what we assume, so
Find yourself writing music while you're on tour ever? Is that even
little snippets, but more, I think more often at home that gets done, not so much on the road. We're too busy sleeping and sound checking and all that, but I think in terms of recording new stuff, we'll probably be able to put a new record out. Hopefully sometime this year, but I always say that and then it never happens.
Right.
So maybe this year, next year. I hate to, it's gonna take us another 10 years to make a record. That just seems, we don't need it. It shouldn't take you 10 years to make a record. That's an obvious thing to say. Yeah.
This is me looking at you, Maynard James Keenan.
You hear that, Sciatics? Yes, I just called out my own band.
That was great. I know I'm looking forward to trying my damnedest to catch you guys when you come to Pittsburgh. So, Gabby's, her Chihuahua.
Oh, neat.
There he is.
I got two, and they're not that loud right now. It's a good thing I have earphones in though, Blake, because you haven't heard that. Holy shit.
She's just protecting her mama. My apologies.
Hi, honey. Where are you? I see you in the corner.
Oh goodness. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Her by
there.
the door.
My pit bull is currently sleeping one off. I don't know what that one is, but she's sleeping it off.
I think-
Traeger, anything you want to say?
I think
Nope.
I think we're playing Pittsburgh we're playing a festival in
September
Pittsburgh.
9th, I believe it is.
Yeah, I think it's a festival. Yeah.
At the Circle Jerk, correct?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's right. We're playing with the Jerks, but then we're separately. There's some festival happening later on that we're also playing. So, yeah.
Yeah. I had it up here. This Ain't No Panic in Pasadena.
Oh, in Pasadena, yeah. Playing that one, but there's also a Pittsburgh. There's a festival outside of Pittsburgh I'm playing. I
In
can't.
Washington area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for the Circle Jerks tour one that's coming in Berkeley, and I can't find it. But I'm sure it'll pop up.
I think that just got announced too.
Yeah.
Hey, Milo, it looks like we lost your video.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
It's still telling.
There
you
there you
are.
That's weird. I didn't even hit a button or anything.
Oh, good.
Odd.
Just thought I'd say so.
I wasn't sure if he had like left and went to his browser quick and was or what. But
It's like,
Traeger,
fuck you guys, I'm out.
Nope. My last question for the night is, it doesn't have to be in depth or anything, but do you think, obviously the Descendants had like a different sound, a different way to them. Do you think that attracted people more to you? You know what I mean? Like you were talking about real life stuff, and especially in the punk rock scene, especially in the 80s when, you had bands like ST and, Circle Jerks and everything, and they weren't anything like you lyrically. Do you think maybe that attracted more fans?
I mean, I guess it did. We did realize at some point that we were kind of, we stuck out like a sore thumb kind of. That's the way I was. I mean,
that's more relatable to me. So
yeah, I think that, I mean, at the time it wasn't like a thought of like, hey, let's be different. It's more just like, well, I can only write songs about, these things that I'm dealing with here. And, or at least that was our commitment to each other. Like, we're just going to write songs about what we're dealing with. It was a kind of an unspoken kind of understanding. Like, look, we could write about Reagan, but I mean, do you really, what are you feeling about Reagan right now? It's like, yeah, he's a dick, but okay. Are we going to write a song about Reagan's a dick, or are we going to write a song about how my girlfriend, just dumped me or whatever, that kind of.
Yeah.
So I think it became a kind of an unspoken kind of drive to just to write about things that were immediately affecting us, to the point where what's immediately affecting me right now is I've got this chili cheese dog in my hand and I'm going to stuff it in my gullet, and that's going to be a song, that kind of thing. And I think just by deciding to have our emotions, those most immediate emotions come out in the music, that made it different than the bands that were doing that kind of thing out there. Yeah. So it was not by design, but more just by like, we're just going to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
And at the time, not only lyrically, but also musically, I've kind of felt like we were almost an awkward sounding band. I mean, we weren't playing, the same kind of stuff as, say, Black Flag or Agent Orange or those kind of bands I love, but we just sounded so much different. But you end up playing the stuff that is comfortable to you and that gets you excited, and that just meant that it was going to be this quirky kind of faster like coffee driven stuff. But I decided at some point I wanted to be able to sing melodies, so you put that on top of it, and that's kind of how it ended up sounding. But it does have a certain awkward element to it that that could have maybe, like I said, we stuck out like a sore thumb, and maybe you're right. Maybe that helped it to kind of sound to differentiate us. Bands. But there are so many great LA bands, and we don't sound like any of those bands, but those bands I love. There's all those bands. I grew up listening to all the X, Germs, Minutemen, Black Flag, all that shit. And they all sound different from each other too.
Yeah,
so
they do.
so that's it. I mean, that's almost to me like the minimal requirement for a band is sound different, for sure.
Yeah.
It definitely helps. Definitely helps.
Yeah.
But, oh, goodness gracious. Milo, what? Go ahead, Gab.
I was just on that same, mindset. If taking your lyrics or taking your music style, and if you could do it differently, is there a music style that you would choose?
Well, I mean, you could go.
I don't want you to. Don't get.
No, I mean,
don't misunderstand me.
Like I said, all these other bands that I listen to, and I go, "Wow, wouldn't it be cool if we sounded like them?" But then I kind of go, "But if we did, then it wouldn't sound natural. It wouldn't be comfortable to us, or something." You could our sound is composed of four individuals that basically bring their personalities into it, and that's our sound. And even though I would love to sound like whatever, Agent Orange or whoever, we're not those four people, and it wouldn't. I guess I felt like it wouldn't come over because it wouldn't be from within ourselves, that kind of thing. But then having said that, when I write songs, I tend to write songs on acoustic guitar, and I'm playing all these, folky chords, and I kind of go, well, that's how the song got written. So maybe that's how the song should go. It should just be like this folky sounding, whatever I'm going to say.
Yeah.
REM or, Replacements-esque kind of a vibe or whatever. And so I have those yearnings, but I also realize that I'm not right. If I write a song on acoustic guitar and I'm writing it that it sounds good to me, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to fit the sound of the other three individuals in the band.
Yeah, exactly. It takes the other three in their styles too, and then it becomes the product, and you've got,
and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't too, because I can take a song and I can play it and be like, oh, here's my song. And then we'll be like, okay, let's descendentsify in it. And you descendentsify and you go, yeah, it doesn't sound the same and doesn't sound as good. So that goes on the shelf. That's a big challenge as a band, is like you want to be able to bring something into the band that sounds good to you, but that can translate into the four guys, the four guys with baseball bats. It's like four guys with baseball bats, and is it going to sound the same after they pound away at it? They hammer it into a shape that the band considers a Descendents song. So,
and just imagine Bill Stevenson with the fucking baseball bat. Okay?
I mean, he drum with these big dowels. He'd take these big dowels. He'd be drumming with those things. Yeah.
Trev, anything else you wanted to ask or say?
No, I just want to say, Milo, it's been an absolute pleasure once again, man. Always. I'm
cool. I forgot that you were going to be on this too. Like,
hey, this is
energy.
My good buddy James here, good buddy Craig. They've been doing this show for over a year now, and James asked me if I wanted to be a guest host tonight, and told me who was coming on, and I was like, yes.
Well, to be fair, we needed a Canadian.
We needed a Canadian.
Always need a Canadian.
Everybody.
Well, our regular Canadian is still out of commission. Like he had work tonight, otherwise he would have been here. But
But he did
Yeah.
graduate. He graduated
He
college.
did graduate college.
Yeah.
Anything an American can do, a Canadian can do better. You know?
Exactly. But
About
he'll
that-
tell you he's the worst Canadian ever. So
I mean, think about it. Canadian bacon. I mean, that's so much better than bacon.
Right.
ham.
Right.
Damn.
Canadian beer. Canadian beer is better. Yeah. Like,
Canadian
come
beer is better.
on. You know, obviously Canadian punk rock. There's some contenders. Well, there's some good contenders probably.
All right,
cut his mic.
obviously, but
Really great.
Cut
that-
him off. Cut him off.
Yeah.
Your trucker strike, your trucker protest was so much better than our trucker protest.
right. That like shut down our our main capital city
Yep.
for weeks. Yeah. Oh man, that was embarrassing to watch in the news every day. I'm reading it. I'm like, what? But you know, it's a different world right now, and a lot of people are taking things really one way or another to the extreme, even more so than we've seen, I think, in at least recent years. Not all
I
years.
prefer the less extreme Canadian version of what we have going on.
Yeah. I mean, at least, you know, they haven't stormed the fucking parliament buildings.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Like,
It's because you're more polite. You guys are more polite than us.
Yeah.
yeah, and then everything I saw on the news today, that's just disheartening as well.
Yep.
With the
Roe v. Wade.
overturning and shit. That's just
Mhm.
it's sickening. Yeah. It's a messed up world we live in, people. But you know what? I feel fortunate. I've got these fine folks as friends. I've
Yeah.
got to speak to Mr. Milo.
I was just about to say I got to talk to Milo from the
three
Descendants.
times. 3 times.
3 times.
and you know what, Milo? I'm recording this for them as a backup.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to see our mugs again.
Fool me once, technology.
You have to redo it, then I can answer the questions better the second time.
you did a fantastic.
Oh, so he's
Oh,
saying he will be back.
Totally different questions because I'm not going to remember what the hell I asked.
Thank you, Milo. Thank you for your time. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the
really
format like that. It's good. It's like nice and laid back, and just you chat.
Yeah,
It's
we
good.
like to bring people on and just get comfortable. Yep.
We just let loose. We don't want to. I don't even have a notebook in front of me today. I had a lot of stuff in the bank, but when you showed up, I was like, oh, it's gone. but no, I can't, honestly, I can't thank you enough. Help me surprise my buddy here. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
It's been an honor.
He's a huge fan. Like
Yeah.
he's been bugging me for weeks now. Like, I have his email address.
Is that the Las Vegas shirt you're wearing, or what is?
Yes,
what
it is.
that? Okay, yeah, it's the bowling
Yep.
shirt. Yeah.
The punk rock bowling short. Yeah.
That is epic.
But yeah, Milo, again, thank you so much for your time. I just I can't say anything else. You're a stand-up gentleman. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, it was good talking to you guys.
You too. Looking
If you
forward
don't
to
mind,
the
can
next show and that folk album down the road.
Oh yeah.
Milo
That's
goes
it.
acoustic.
I can get those songs done.
Milo goes
goes
country.
acoustic. Or Milo goes country, whatever.
If you don't mind sticking around for about 30 more seconds after we cut the feed.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All
And
right.
Gabby, Trevor, thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much for having me, guys. Really
Check out
appreciate
Rolls
it.
of the Pit. Check out the Descendants on tour this summer. And Milo, I'm going to try my damnedest to catch you in Pittsburgh, my man.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, thank you so much, sir. Good luck on the tour. Good luck with the new record that you're planning.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime.
Rock on.
And cut.
Yeah.
Help! We've been robbed!
Stop! Stop, evildoers!
Introducing super stretching superhero Stretch Armstrong. Yes, Stretch Armstrong. Now stretching fun farther than ever before. He bends, he stretches, even ties and knots, but always returns to his original shape.
How does he do that?
He's been doing that since he was a kid. Stretch Armstrong from Cap Toys. Who else?
Meg, don't hog the Apple Jacks.
I thought you were studying.
Want some?
No, if it's called Apple Jacks, it should taste like apple.
That's so charming. Everyone knows why they're so good.
Try me.
You're pressuring us. Kellogg's Apple Jacks is part of this complete breakfast. We eat what we like.
Link, Fox, Mega Man, and Mario. The stars of Nintendo sticker cards. You can peel and reveal secret game tips. One free in Kellogg's Apple Jacks.
Hey, no peeking.